Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Sounds from the Pitch. And we have just witnessed two games: Australia versus New Zealand, and the one that finished before that, Pakistan versus Afghanistan. One of them was an absolute thriller, and the match was decided, I think, pretty much well in. Pretty much around 20 to 30 overs before the game finished. And to discuss these games and as well as how the World Cup has panned out, we have with us Sanket. Uh, so let us so let us talk about the Afghanistan game for a few minutes because I think that is worth spending a little bit time on. So were you surprised by the way the game went?
I think yes, I would say so because I think I thought it would be a fairly comfortable win for Pakistan because Pakistan had already lost to Afghanistan in the warm-up, and I thought that they would come better prepared, tackle their spinners. I think Babar Azam would pull 100 in that game, and the rest crumbled around him. And Pakistan, I think, got to something like 260, and Afghanistan chased it down, fairly comfortably in the end. But yeah, I mean, Afghanistan batted first, and we always know that Pakistan in big matches facing never really been their forte, especially in this tournament. We've seen that they have struggled a little bit in the weekends really well against New Zealand, but Headingley is a pitch that is on the slower side, and there was resistance. We've seen how even the best batting lineup in the world struggled to face down a fairly modern bowler this very venue against probably the weakest bowling attack in the tournament in Sri Lanka. So, I think after Afghanistan had posted that total on the board, yes, you thought that yeah, maybe Pakistan could have it slightly tricky, but I think the manner in which they won, and I mean when they I think won something like 150 for six, I thought it would be a fairly comfortable win for Afghanistan, and Pakistan would probably be beaten you know pretty handily, maybe by something like 30, 40 runs, but for Imad Wasim and Shadab Khan and Wahab Riaz in the end to pull that, manage it they did. I think that was, you can say in many ways it was extremely Pakistani in the sense that it was mercurial, but it was also un-Pakistani in the sense that they won a chase, from the
I,
jaws of
yeah, I mean,
defeat. They pulled off a victory, and that's something that we don't normally associate with Pakistan cricket, especially when they're facing. We've seen them pull off matches from hopeless situations when they're defending a total in the past, but for them to win a chase like that, I mean, I don't remember something like this happening. Maybe I think the last time something like this happened when Abdul Razak scored a big 100 at Abu Dhabi against South Africa in 2010. I think that's probably the last time I can remember such a comeback from Pakistan when they were down and out for the count in a chase, especially in a must-win game, knowing the stakes, what was on the line. Yeah, incredible result for Pakistan.
and with this win, the tale of 92 still continues. I mean, it's incredible, the eerie similarity between the two tournaments. Uh, yeah, which I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it last Sunday when Haris Sohail won the Man of the Match award. Pakistan's winning streak in 1992 started, after they had won just one match in the first five. And even then, the pattern was very similar. They had lost the first match to the West Indies, won the second match. The third match was a washout. They lost the next two, and then their winning streak started with the match against Australia in 1992, and it was Amir Sohail was the man of the match, scored a 76 in a match. They won, I think, by 48 runs. Then this time around it was another Sohail, Haris Sohail, another left-hander, doing so against South Africa. And the margin of victory was also very similar. They won by 49 runs this time around. So that's an incredible coincidence. Then the chase against, which again, the last time around they beat New Zealand in 92. Again, a Pakistan top order batsman who scored 100, Ramiz Raja. It was Babar Azam this time around. And it was also their sixth, I think, seventh match of the tournament. And the last time around in 2000, in 1992, the sixth match of the tournament, they had won with five balls to spare. So this is quite incredible. And now
Yeah, I
again
mean,
today, the fairy tale continues. You can say.
just a few minutes on today's game. I think there was a period of time where as a viewer, I was literally scratching my head when Gulbuddin Naib bowled that over when they had the overs of spin. it was probably one of the most inexplicable pieces of cricket that I have seen in all my years, where it almost seemed what is the most obvious thing to do to everyone except the people on the ground. I mean, even so, even after like few hours after the match, I still can't believe that they didn't go for spin at that stage. Did you like your thoughts on that?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I didn't really follow a large part of that case because I was watching the Australia New Zealand game. But from whatever I've gathered and from whatever the bits that I have watched, I think Gulbadin was probably a little bit hamstrung by the fact that his best fast bowler Amir Hassan got injured after just 2 overs, and then they had obviously they decided to save a few overs of Rashid Khan at the death, where he disappointed a little. I think I didn't expect him to get smashed for a six by Wahab Riaz in the end. I think that was the one that pretty much sealed the game. Mujib was outstanding. I think both at the start of the innings as well as at the end. Mohammad Nabi again consistent as ever, very good. So I think that they probably needed to make up a few overs elsewhere because the injury to Hamid Hassan and uh, Gulbadin, I guess, probably had to take up the slack. Maybe they could have used a few more overs of Samiullah Shidwari. Uh, and that's one of the problems with this kind of combination. To the extent in a bowler shot, even though bowling is supposed to be their strength, they had a specialist batsman in Shidwari batting at number 8, which I found a little bit baffling. I think the batting order they had Ikram Ali Khil, who was a specialist wicket keeper, who's been batting at as low as number 9 in some of the previous games, and today he was suddenly promoted up to number 3, up to number 4, I beg your pardon, and he scored something like 20, 25 from what 60, 70 balls, something like that. So that was a really baffling move because they have got some pretty good players coming down the order. Mohammad Nabi and Najibullah Zidran. They probably two of the best batsmen, and they're batting at 6 and 7. You're just wasting them. Shamwari is again another a good specialist batsman who's played some good innings for them in the past. He's batting at number 8. So I think that strategy in the team selection batting order was also slightly confusing, and I think they probably should
Yeah.
have played that extra bowler, especially if they were that the wicketkeeper at number 4, and then especially when you know that one of your fast bowlers, and he was the only specialist fast bowler that they played in this game. At least in some of the previous matches that they went in with Hamid Hassan, they had Dawlat Zidran or Aftab Alam to accompany him, but this time around it was just Hamid Hassan and Gulbadi. So when you're going into the fast bowler who's physically fragile and he's the only threat in the game, I think I would have expected them to go in with a little more bowling cover. So I would say their selection was more. I think the tactics they got it wrong more at the selection table rather than during the match, because I wouldn't be too critical of my tactics midway through the match, because the general tendency for a captain whenever you're put under the pressure is to generally go towards the seamers, because a spinner, if you start bowling a spinner at the depth, and then people can always say Pakistan plays spin bowling well, and you just smash the spinner and you don't bowl a spinner. So yeah, you can say I think you could just nitpick things in hindsight. But overall, I think they play. I think it was more a shortage of alternatives rather than poor tactics as such.
Yeah. So coming to the team that actually opened up this World Cup, and in the last podcast we had discussed how we could potentially have 20 to 25 dead rubbers, but now here we are with 8 matches left probably in the World Cup, and we just have still only one actual qualification into the semi-final. So and this is something, and all this, I think a lot of credit has to be given to England, the way they bottled up that chase at Leeds, and then the loss at Lords against Australia, and if they look back, the loss they had against Pakistan too. So this has been a huge surprise, right? England coming in as absolute favorites, and I mean, I even thought that there was there was a chance that they could just canter their way to the trophy, much like the great Australian sides did in the past. But nothing of that sort happened. Do you like? How do you explain that? And do you have any explanation for why such a thing happened for them, and why the road to the semi-final has been so hard for them now?
I think when we spoke in the last podcast, we had begun the podcast in a very despondent, negative mood. The format, wondering what we're going to do through the next 3 weeks. And now, 2 weeks later, we are talking, and the fourth semi-final is still in one set. So yeah, I think we did say towards the end of that podcast, because generally we tend to think that when we think that there is a clear front runner, and teams might just break away from the facts. But I think almost invariably, when in a World Cup, or even in tournaments like the IPL, the fourth semi-finalist, or the fourth qualifier, or whatever you like to call it, or maybe sometimes even the last two spots, they're often decided in the last few games. I think especially in the IPL, they've always been decided in the final. In the World Cup also, even in 2011, 2015, when the formats were such that you had the top four sides from each group going through to the, we clearly knew whom the best top eight sides in the world were. But still, because of England, even in those tournaments, because of England's inconsistency, the tournament got exciting, and we really couldn't guess until the very end who would eventually qualify. So, and the same thing is happening again. So once again, cricket is a sport of glorious uncertainties, as they say, as the cliche
Yeah.
goes. And yeah, here we are.
Yeah, but I mean, it is still extremely baffling. I mean, to see why it happened like that. I mean, there are there is one school of thought which basically says that probably it is the fact that England are more used to playing on flat conditions and not really on um, testing conditions, or where the ball is gripping on the pitch and so on. But they do have a fairly decent overseas record, so that really doesn't explain everything what is happening here. uh, I think the Joss Butler's press conference was kind of telling, where he said that he has never been in an England team which where the expectation was on them, or where they started as favorites. uh, and I think that kind of genuinely the pressure of being favorites has taken a toll on England. Um, and One could also see from the comments, like someone like Bairstow made, where he was almost saying that the English public and the English media were waiting for them to fail, and statements like that. Probably the fact that they were never used to being favorites just worked against them.
I guess you could say that. I think it's a combination of several factors. I think people still need to put into the perspective here. England has still only lost 3 games in the tournament. I say only three because people are talking about the prospect of Pakistan qualifying ahead of them. Pakistan have also lost 3 games. They've played one more game more than England, although they haven't actually played. It was a washout against Sri Lanka, which probably robbed them of a crucial point, which would have put them in a much better position to qualify uh, right now. But yeah, but I think looking back at England's tournament so far, obviously I think the Pakistan loss, I think everyone just put it down as an aberration because they're consistently beating Pakistan 4-0 in the ODI series that preceded it. It was a high scoring contest that could have gone either way, and eventually Pakistan just prevailed by 15 runs. But I think the last loss against Sri Lanka was the one that I find it really hard to explain. And I think Andrew Fidel Fernando, the Sri Lankan Cricinfo editor, I think explained it best when he said that don't try and look for rational explanation for this result, because Sri Lanka are almost becoming the new Pakistan in that sense. They're mercurial, and they're a team that those results suggest that they probably shouldn't even be at this World Cup. Or if you look at the results of the last couple of years, they're worse than a lot of the sides who are not in this tournament. But they might.
Hello.
And now, here they are, and here they've put England's qualification hopes in jeopardy. I think when England lost Sri Lanka, I think it was still only their second loss. So probably I still find it a little baffling that they found the pressure of being favorites against Sri Lanka because they were only chasing 230 and they've just come off three consecutive victories against West Indies, a team that actually troubled them recently. Against Bangladesh, again another team that I think I expected to be a little bit trickier than Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. That was obviously an easy. But after that Pakistan defeat, they come off three consecutive victories. So that is what I think makes that collapse against Sri Lanka baffling. If the Sri Lanka game had happened right after the Pakistan game, then yes, I think you could have said that they are crumbling under pressure because they just lost against Pakistan and now they're suddenly feeling the pressure, and that is why they've lost to Sri Lanka. But coming into that Sri Lanka game, their win-loss record for the tournament was 4-1, and they were comfortably placed to qualify. And they just restricted Sri Lanka to what looked like a very gettable total. So I still am finding it extremely difficult to put that Sri Lanka defeat into any kind of logical conclusion here. The Australian result, I think that is I think more easily explainable because they played at Lords, which has always been a fortress of Australian cricket over the years across all the formats. And the venues, I think, and the conditions there, I think, suited the Australian fast bowlers perfectly. Mitchell Starc, Jason Behrendorff, and even Pat Cummins, the new ball, they pitched the ball in the right areas. And England batsmen, I think they pretty much outclassed the English top order in those conditions. England actually bowled well. They were probably a little bit unlucky up front against Aaron Finch and David Warner, who both batted extremely well to negotiate tough conditions as well. But maybe they could have pitched it a little bit fuller. But I think overall, I think you could say that Australia, for those conditions prevailing on that particular day, I think Australia would probably be a slightly better side than England. So I think that's a result that you can probably arrive at some sort of logic. But the Sri Lanka result, especially coming off three straight wins, that's something that I'm still finding really baffling. But I think England is still well placed. I think it's still very much in their hands. People talking about Pakistan needing only one more win to qualify, but if England win their remaining two games, then it's out of Pakistan's hands. So England have got a big game tomorrow, and I think how they respond to it is really going to tell us what this English side is made up of. Because anyone can have two bad games. Anyone can have one bad game. You can have two bad games, especially when the second game is against a quality opposition like Australia in conditions that favored Australia. Now they are again facing India, again another top quality side, in conditions that people are saying might favor the Indians. So it's going to be a tricky challenge for England, no doubt. And logically speaking, they probably do go into the game tomorrow as slight underdogs. So I think it will be very interesting to see what kind of response they come up with, whether they still have enough confidence in their chasing abilities to opt to chase at a venue where both the matches so far have been won by the chasing side, or whether they just decide to bat first and post total on the board because they don't really want that scoreboard pressure weighing against them when they're chasing against a high quality bowling attack like that of India.
Yeah, I think for especially the kind of surfaces that we have had, I think chasing against a team like India is never going to be easy, right? So I think they would definitely like to just bat first, put on whatever total they can, and just try to knock over the top three. And we have already seen the Indian middle order is extremely fragile. And I think the formula to beat India, I think, has to be to just to bat is to bat first, try to negate the new ball threat of Shami, and get to par or even slightly subpar scores, and then expose the middle order. I think that is kind of an obvious strategy that teams would like to use against India.
Yeah, I agree. I think and it's not just against India. I think the tournament trend is clearly being that scoreboard pressure is still a big factor, and that the form book that we've seen in ODI cricket, especially in England over the last 4 years, has been thrown out of the window completely. And now we're seeing the scenario which Virat Kohli talked about before the tournament actually coming true. That even 250 is difficult to chase. Obviously, that a lot of do with conditions as well. I think it would be slightly difficult just teams are choking under pressure. The conditions have also been a lot trickier than we had anticipated prior to the tournament. So that's obviously a major factor as well. The only thing is that the venue at which they're playing tomorrow, both the matches have been won by the chasing side. Although they were both last over finishes. Pakistan, even though they were fairly comfortable towards the end, but they had more than their fair share of starters throughout their innings. South Africa against New Zealand was an absolute thriller. So again, even though both the matches have so far been won by the chasing side, I don't think then that's a risk that you would want to be taking, especially in a must-win game like it is for England. Uh, uh, India, I'd be interested to see. It'd be interesting to see what India do, because India pretty much qualified for the World Cup, and I just wonder if they might be, tempted to maybe just test their